Well, welcome to a new episode of the BrandonJaneauShow, Underdog to Success podcast interview edition. Again, I'm joined with another amazing person just to talk to, just to have a conversation with. I may learn a lot of things. I will learn a lot of things. I will learn a lot of things. Um, and again, thank you to my family at Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment. I appreciate you guys for continuously sending me all these amazing people to talk to. Can't do it without you guys. I'm joined by an incredible author. This is, I've talked to a couple authors, but this might be a little bit different, and this might be super fun. Super fun. Tell them where they can find your books. Tell them where they can find you on social media. Tell them where they can find your website. Tell them where they can find pretty much everything you do.
Yes, for sure. So I'm really excited to be here and to speak with you and for people to find my books. My first book is called I'm Not Your Average Teen. And I wrote that when I was a teenager, when I was 15 years old, years ago. And you can find it on Amazon or Indigo Chapters online. And you can find me on my website, Krystantos, or my Instagram. And the books I wrote is to inspire young people who are struggling with mental health. And I wrote it because I was struggling with mental health growing up as a kid and as a teenager. And I wanted this book to help people on their journey and hope they can find it and find themselves on this journey with my book.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Mm.
Um, I don't like to write down anything because I like having real conversations and like
Yeah.
you looking like down at the paper all day. So you did this and it
Yeah.
makes sense. So I was reading important things that I knew I could touch on in this interview about you. And you just said perfectly mental health. And I read you were selective mutive.
Yes.
So
So
yeah, because I watched The Big Bang Theory, so like Raj has selective mutant, mutant like yeah, like he'd talk when he's not around women, but then when he was like around women, he couldn't talk. It was like, and that was I was like, that's interesting.
that's
So I've
crazy. I've
never
never
met,
seen that show. I
yeah,
have to watch it.
yeah, I've never talked to somebody. So, but I've seen it before. I've heard about it before. So, what made you have that? Like, because was it a situation? Was it just the surroundings, the people?
Mhm.
What made you have it?
So for the first 7 years, like from being a baby to 7 years old, I didn't speak to anyone. Like I was complete mute. And it wasn't that I couldn't talk, I could. And in fact, my parents took me to like specialists and doctors and like we're asking them like, why is my child not speaking? And they did ear tests on me to make sure like I can hear. And of course I can hear perfectly fine. But it was because I was selective of who I was speaking to, and I guess you can say it's called anxiety, or it's called something where like you're not comfortable to speak, and that's what I had. It was simply just a really rare form of anxiety, and I would speak to my parents when we were at home, but whenever we were in the public or out in the mall or with their friends or family events, I just would be in the corner, like whispering to my mom, like, I want this or I want that, or whatever thoughts in my head, I would do it away from people. And I think growing up, especially when I was growing up, they didn't have any help or treatment for a kid with such severe anxiety like that. It was very rare. So my parents kept asking them, "How can we help her?" And they said, "Just wait. She's going to grow up, and eventually she's going to speak." And I think that was the hardest part on my journey was I didn't have help. I didn't have any treatment or any suggestions of what I should do. I was just struggling alone in silence, technically. And I felt invisible because I was, and I was scared to talk. So I think that like a lot of people, kids may be going through that now, or a lot of kids may be going through anxiety, and maybe they speak, but it's more about the point of they're afraid or they're going through something, and they're scared to let people know.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say I was the same. Um, but I definitely know what you mean because it was certain times in school I wouldn't talk.
Hmm.
like okay, perfect example, like when you have to do like a project and you have to
Yeah,
get up in front of the class and
I
talk
think
in front of the
that.
class. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. It
Well,
was just,
I actually didn't do it. My mom would call in the teachers and say, Brittany, you can't do that. She's uncomfortable. So even though like I started to find my voice and talk, of course, and have friends and be, I guess, average, um, I still wouldn't talk to presentations in school or do anything that most kids would be like so excited to do.
yeah, I and yeah, because my podcast uh came from also mental health.
Hmm.
Um, I've been uh dealing with mental health for as long as I can remember, and they finally could figure out what mental health was for me
Hmm.
uh when I became like older in my teenage years. Like I started going to therapy when I was like maybe 16, 17 years old,
Hmm.
and so nobody knew what to really diagnose me with. And it so they diagnosed me with everything under the sun, pretty much like everybody. Like every
Hmm.
first thing you do when you get there is like he has everything.
Yeah.
He has everything. I don't know what to tell you. He has everything. So let's just figure out what particular thing he really does
You have
have.
bipolar, you have anxiety condition, you have social problems, you have depression, you should do this, and yeah, for sure.
And it's that, and this is where my podcast pretty much came from because I was at my lowest point pretty much. Um, a couple years ago, going through depression, going through anxiety, um, and like I still have really bad anxiety around people.
Hmm.
Like I like okay, perfect example. Like Sunday, we was at like a Super Bowl party. I left. Like I just was like, yeah. And this is literally just family and friends. Like I'm literally
Hmm.
just around my family and friends, and it was just like, yeah, this is too much. I'm gone. I
Hmm.
and that's just how it is for a lot of people that don't understand. Like why we're so, I guess, protective of ourselves because a lot of people, like you said, there was a time and place where there wasn't a lot of help for that.
Hmm.
Nobody really could tell you how to feel and what you're feeling. So it was
Exactly.
yeah, it's a double sword. It really is because nobody really knows what you're really going through
For
until
sure.
until they nobody's gonna really be in your shoes, but until they could
Feel
physically
it.
have a real conversation with you, nobody really knows.
Exactly. And I have that too. Even though like I've figured out ways or tools to help me with my anxiety, I still have anxiety. Like sometimes my boyfriend wants to go to parties or like events or hang out with people, like I just get this fear inside of me. It's like I don't want to go. Like and it's normal. Like even family events, I just like don't want to go sometimes. And it's part of me like having that social anxiety or social awkwardness sometimes. Like I'm a very awkward person sometimes, but I'm also not awkward when I feel comfortable, right? So it's a normal thing to go through. And I always say like mental health is not something you can cure overnight. You're gonna live with it for the rest of your life because you're gonna learn how to cope with it, but you will have it because you're gonna have times when you have anxiety because it's us, it's who we are. We're anxious people, but we gotta learn how to control it and cope with it.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is the reason why I learned how to cope with this, I guess,
Yeah.
because if I didn't say anything, um, I would never said anything. If I didn't start this podcast, I probably would never said anything.
And you're
And,
speaking up about it, and that has a lot of courage and bravery to do that.
well, thank you. You too. I mean, you're an author. Wrote your first book when you were 15. Read that. I was like, wow. I was like, some people could call you a prodigy. I mean,
Oh,
that's pretty amazing. What made you want to write a book at 15?
I didn't want to write it. That's the funny part. I obviously got help. I was really depressed, and I found instead of going to a therapist and be told I have this problem, that problem, I actually found like a more spiritual um, therapist, someone who's like a life coach, spiritual coach, who taught me real strategies and like things I can do to like help me through my depression. So one of the lessons that this woman was doing for me was she was telling me, you have a big issue with speaking your truth after growing up for so long with not having a voice, that I want you to start journaling and using that as a way to express your feelings. So after a month or whatever, I was journaling every day and I was feeling really good. And then, like, the next session, a week later, she was like, "Actually, I want you to publish this book or make it into a book. I want you to make a book now. I want you to take all your journals and I want you to start writing tips that you learned from me. And I want you to actually put it into a book." And I was 15 years old. I looked at her like she was psycho. I'm like, "TMO, I'm not doing this." And she was like, "You have to. Like, you want to face your fear? Write the damn book." And I was fighting with her, "Not writing the book. I can't do it." And she's like, "Yes, you can." So that night I went home and I actually was like looking at my journals and I took my computer out and I put it onto a Word document. And I was like, "Okay, like, what is this book gonna be called?" Not Your Average Teen came to me because I felt like I was not your average teen, and that's how it happened. And then I went through first chapter and I went through the first page of my diary where I was like, 2014, I don't want to live anymore. I hate this pain. I'm struggling really bad. Dear diary, like, I can't take this anymore. And that was like the darkest point in my depression when I felt like I did not want to live. And I wrote that down and I put it down. And then I made tools and I made it as if someone else is reading this, it can inspire them. And then 2 weeks later, my other session with her happened, and I looked at her and I'm like, "Okay, I think I'm writing this book." And she was laughing so hard at me. She's like, "I told you you can do it." And then it took me about 2 years, so around like 17, I think, or 17, I finally like got it done, cover, edited. Like, I actually took it seriously, and I published it at 17. So it's been a long journey, and I'm grateful that she forced me to write it because other people are reading it and they get to hear my story. And if I can inspire someone and if I can help someone on their journey, then I know that what I've gone through has helped me, helped them too, and it helped me through it all.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's therapists always got something up their sleeve. I don't know what the hell it is about them. They always got something up the sleeve.
Hmm.
They always want you to do homework. So they say
Hmm.
homework.
It's homework.
Uh,
Yeah.
homework. That's what they say.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, for me, uh, again, my podcast. I mean, when I was at my lowest point of depression, suicidal thoughts, all that, I really started taking this podcast serious. Like it just, I don't know, it just eventually became like, a, it became a outlet when I didn't really have one. And I was going to therapy, but my therapist at the time was just repeating himself, and it kept feeling like you're not really listening to me. You saying what the hell you've been saying for like 6, 7 years. Like, I've been
Mhm.
going to him for like a long time, and I'm like, dude, you can't even see I'm expanding. I need a new
Yeah.
way of looking at this situation. And so around that time, that's when I didn't have a therapist at all. So I really was depressed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have anybody to talk to. And I would try to like talk to my family about it, but there's only so much they can understand.
Mhm.
And yeah, so when it came to this, it was like a real interesting thing. So I started doing a podcast, and it'd be 3 years in September that I've been doing this. So
Amazing.
yeah, so I mean, I didn't start like you at like 15 years old, but
That's
I mean,
okay.
I started something, and I think that just like a just like a book and a podcast, I started doing it because I knew I had a voice, and I think I wanted people to at least know that you're not alone in this world.
Mhm. It's true. That's the beautiful thing is knowing that people sh- are not alone. And I think that's what I felt growing up was feeling alone until I found my mentor TMO, and I only found her because I looked her up on Google. So I had to take the next initiative to go and figure out life coach to help. How can I do it? But I think that's amazing that you took that darkness and you turned it into something that's helping people.
Yeah, I mean we both are,
Hmm.
and that's the beauty of learning, uh, in life and evolving. I think
Hmm.
sometimes we forget that.
Very true.
Um, what now do you believe? Like, what is the next big step for you in your mental health, pretty much? Because what you're 21, 22,
23.
23. So,
I'm gonna be 24 next month. So
oh, happy early birthday.
thank you.
uh, but 24 years old. So, what's the next mental step in your journey? Because I'm 28 now, I just turned 28 in January, so it's literally like
Birthday.
I. Thank you. I'm trying to learn what's the next step in my, I guess, evolution as a person.
Mhm. I guess because you get to a certain age, like, I'm writing a new book, and it's about being not your average young adult, of course, and, you get to an age, and I had to learn this when you're, like, 20 to 30 and, like, even 30 and older, like, people it's the same thing happens where, like, you're at this age and you're at this point where, like, you're not 30 yet, but you're gonna be 30, or you're not an adult completely, but you're gonna be an adult, and you feel like this pressure to be something or to make money or to have a career that fulfills your dreams and pays your bills and has a nice house and nice clothes and pays for your food on the table, and it comes to a point where your dreams and your career are so separate and you want to figure out how can I make my dream my career, right? And that's where I
Mm.
am in my life, and that's where I have been in my life, is how can I actually take this seriously and how can I change my life around, because I'm not 17 anymore, I'm not 21, I'm almost halfway to 30 almost, right? So it comes to a point where you have to
Uh,
ask yourself
uh,
these questions.
keep it at 24. You're doing good.
24, I know, not
It's,
25 yet,
it's,
but but that's the thing though, it's that question, like, who am I? Like, what am I gonna be? And I think that like to evolve into that, we gotta really be happy with who we are, and we have to be happy with all the different adventures we go on. Like, who I was last year and who I am today is completely different. 2 years ago, I told myself I'm not being an author anymore. I'm quitting speaking, and I was going through the worst time because of the pandemic. I was going through depression. I was going through mental illness again, and I told myself I can't be a voice for others if I'm struggling. But I didn't know that my struggles and me being authentic can actually help someone. So I quit and I told myself I'm not doing it. Until my boyfriend was like, "You have to do it." Like it was even a month ago. He like pressured me. He's like, "You better go and film yourself right now and talk." And I was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And my first video a month ago was like, "Guys, like, I'm forced to do this, but hey, like, I'm here. Like, I've been struggling, and I'm sorry that I've been MIA on Instagram, or I'm sorry I haven't been telling my truth to whoever like have read my book and stuff. And I'm here." And I got such positive responses from that because people were like, "Wow, like, you're here and you're struggling," and I love that. So I think, like, going back to your question is like, you have to evolve with whatever you're going through. You have to ask yourself these deep questions like, who am I and what you want to learn in your life. We also have to um, allow the journey to evolve you. So wherever you are, whatever's happening around you, you can't change what's happening in the world. Like, we can't change this crazy pandemic, but we can change how we react to it. We can change who we are with it. And so I had to change who I was with it. And I had to realize that to be a voice for others, I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to be this amazing best-selling author or this author and speaker who is so average and so amazing and so positive. I could be negative sometimes, and that's my truth, and that's my vulnerability, and it's beautiful to be yourself. So I think that may have answered your question.
it definitely answered the question. It answered the question. Um, I because I do another podcast, and it's one of my fellow podcasters, my brother RC, and it's called Dark Therapy Session, and we talk about pretty much our mental health, and we talk about what we're going through in life, and and we actually had an episode, like the last episode we did was called Comfort Zone, and we were talking about, what's our comfort zone, like what makes a comfort zone, how does it help us, how does it improve us, or does it hurt us sometimes because we're so engaged into the comfort zone that we don't pay attention to what's really going on outside of it. Sometimes
Mhm,
we're so tunnel vision into this comfort zone that we forget there is a life out there. You do have to sometimes get yourself out of it to
mhm,
go experience it. And I think I said in the episode, I was like, interviews. I'm not good at it. I'm still not good at it. I was just like, I'm not
mhm,
good at it. I'm really not good at it. Because my first plan was not to do interviews for this podcast. It was just for me to speak and say what I wanted to say and leave it alone. I know what I said. I know how I feel. This is what I want to say. This is how I want to feel. And then, of course, interviews come along and people want to talk to me and have conversations with me. And that's like, okay, cool. But I said, you got to be uncomfortable with being comfortable.
mhm,
Like, that's just because life's not fair. And I think if people understand that a little bit more,
Mhm.
maybe the conversations will be a little bit better. So do
Mhm.
you believe? So do you think that, or do you think it's just you got to find your own comfort in in being uncomfortable? Because life is very uncomfortable.
I agree completely. I think that you have to um, be uncomfortable to be comfortable. I think that's an amazing lesson is that you have to go into your uncomfort zones to figure out who you are and maybe even to face your fears. And I talk about that a lot is facing your fears and doing things that make you nervous. But there's also a difference. Like, don't do things that are like your comfort zones to the point where it's like, I'm like jump off like scary things are dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels to things. Or like going to parties that you know maybe bad people aren't there, are there like people you don't like to be around, and you're gonna feel uncomfortable on purpose. Like if you know someone's gonna be at a party and you don't like them, and you know that person affects your energy, like don't go, right? So there's certain levels, like do things to make you that make you uncomfortable in a good way, like speaking, doing a podcast, writing a book, going on stage, even though it makes you nervous. And that's great because you're facing that fear. But then when you're doing things that are not serving you because you're forced to, or you feel like you have to go, or you have to do these things, then it's not great. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, eh, comfort comes from when you figure it out.
Hmm.
I think when you are you at your most comfortable, that's when you know, like, okay, I figured something out, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I figured out something. Um, what made you want to be a pretty much a mental advisor, like a mental health expert? Because that's something that a lot of people do need, and a lot of, like you said, it took you years to finally get yourself into that space. So what made you want to do that?
um exactly what we're talking about. Like I wanted to help people, right? I'm not always an expert, but I try to speak from experience, and I wanted to literally like help kids who are going through this alone. Like 'cause I know how alone and scary it could be to struggle, and I kind of like saw myself in the kids' shoes, and I wanted to be that role model. I wanted to show them that they're not alone. And so I knew that by speaking up and telling my story, even as scary and vulnerable as that is, I put that aside and I said, I'm going to help people. And I've been doing that. I want to help people. And everything I do, I always put like a little tension in my head. I want to help people. Whatever I say on your podcast today, I want that to help people. When I go tomorrow to the store and I open a door for someone, I want to bring positive vibes and be something that can affect someone's life. And life's short and you don't know what tomorrow's promise, right? So I wanted to always, when I live my life, live it by giving back or doing something good and helping someone.
Yeah. Um, do you still get nervous doing interviews? Because
Um,
and how do you get over those nerves? Because you know.
I sometimes interviews I like because it's conversations, right? Like I like talking to the person, but I actually do get really nervous talking to stages. Workshops when I do them, I like it sometimes because it's like interactive. I'll talk, and then the kids will do exercises, and it like go around the room, and it's not 120, 200 people. It's like 20 people in the class I'm teaching. But when I'm going to like a stage of like 200 people, I am so nervous. Like I can't eat before because I'm scared. Like I can't, and I'm nervous completely all the time. And I wish I could say I'm not, but I am. So definitely nervous.
Yeah. I mean, I still get nerves um when I do certain things for the podcast. It's just because like that's me still. My anxiety will always be there,
Mhm.
and you don't know, like you just don't know what's gonna happen
Mhm.
once like once you get there, because you can plan for everything under the sun, but one thing can still go wrong, and then it's like downhill.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing. I think that but I think also showing our nerves, and sometimes showing our nerves and showing our anxiety, it kind of gives us an advantage in a sense,
Mhm.
because it's showing that we're people. Like we're
Yeah.
not robots. We're actually humans. We actually do have emotions. We can actually feel some type of way. So I think that that's a yeah. It's a hard sometimes. It's hard to sometimes probably do certain things and move certain ways, but I don't get too nervous for interviews anymore.
That's good.
Maybe, okay, maybe when I have to be on somebody else's stuff, that might bring the nerves a little bit because maybe I haven't been on it before, or
Uh-huh.
I don't know how they operate. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't
Yeah.
know, but I don't get too nervous anymore about stuff that I do, like this.
You're comfortable doing it, and you know that's you're natural at it. It's so you and also you've done it so many times that you like it's a habit kind of.
Yeah, kinda.
Really.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, maybe a little bit. I'm I'm
Mhm,
I'm pretty sure of it. I don't know. And that's the thing. I still question myself. I still have doubts.
mhm.
So do you still have doubts and questions about certain things when it comes to the books, or does it come to the
Uh,
interviews, or you know?
Definitely, I'm not perfect, and I definitely have fears and anxieties because sometimes it depends on like my mood or my energy. I feel like that day because if I'm in like a bad mood or I'm feeling anxious about something, like naturally I'm going to be nervous. But I try my best to be present in the moment and to do it out of my heart and do it because I want to inspire someone. So when I get into a place of doing it out of that, then no matter what, um, actually, really one funny story. This is the only time I've been really nervous is on an interview. I think it was my first interview of 17. My book just came out, and it was some talk show on like Sirius Radio. I don't even know what it was, but I was there, and they said something, a word that didn't make sense to me because I didn't understand what they said,
Right.
and I answered it, and they said something about like something inappropriate about are you gonna write inappropriate books? A word I don't even know what it was. And I said, yeah, because I thought I didn't know what they're saying. So I'm just nodding my head. But it was so embarrassing because in the end, I was like, what does that mean? And my mom was like, I don't know why they asked you that. You're 17. And I was like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. So I agreed to it. I don't even know what it was. It's about like a book, a romance about, I don't know. And I was so embarrassed, and I was like, "I'm never doing interviews again. I'm so dumb. I should read the dictionary." And my mom, like, everyone was laughing at me. But that was the only time I was like really nervous because I wasn't prepared for that, and I don't know why someone would ask me questions like that when I'm 17. But still, like, the only thing because that wasn't like to my like purpose. Like the talk show host wasn't really like you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like
Yeah.
wasn't there to like they weren't there to like oh like get my message out there. And it was my first interview, so I was petrified.
Yeah, I remember doing my first, like, for my show, doing my first podcast interview. I must have messed up trying to get the damn Zoom right for like 30 minutes. 30, like 45 to an hour. Like, it was like me and this girl, because I was interviewing a comedian, and I was trying, like, I didn't know I had to pay for Zoom. I thought Zoom was free.
Oh
That's
my
how
god,
crazy it
I
was.
didn't even
Like,
know that.
I thought Zoom was free. I'm like, wait, I gotta pay for this? Because I had, cause
I didn't even know that.
yeah. And I remember like, I'm like making her wait because I'm like, wait, I gotta pay for Zoom. I didn't know how to pay for Zoom. It just,
Oh my
and
god.
yeah, we still did the interview, and it was like literally my first ever interview I've done ever. And so
That's too funny.
yeah, so it was that. I completely understand what you mean by your first thing you, and that's the thing. The first thing you ever do will be nerve wracking.
Mhm.
But as you get more into it and you do it a little bit more and more, I guess it won't be.
Mhm.
But
My
it
first
does.
talk was awful. My first talk was completely awful, but I did it. The first time out of everything, it's not gonna be perfect. But it was perfect in the moment, I guess you can say. Whatever it was in the moment, it was good. But then, like, if like I don't know about you, but when I write something a month ago or I do something a month ago, it's creative. I like it, and then like a month later, I reread it or redo it, and I look at it. But for you, it's the interviews, and it's like, oh my god, why did I do that? Or like that's awful. But that's us as humans. We always want better, and we're always judging ourselves.
Yes, we are very judging. We judge ourselves. We're our toughest critics, and that is truly what it is. We're our toughest critics because we always think we could do better. We always think there's always something more that we could say or maybe not have said to give the interview a better time. Yeah, I mean, but me personally, I don't listen to my podcast.
You don't?
Mm-mm,
You should.
I don't listen to my podcast.
I
I
used to not watch my stuff, but then after a point, I was like, wow, like that was good.
a- and here's the thing: the reason why I don't listen to my podcast is because it is my nerves. It is because in my head, I think I'm saying the right thing, and then I listen to my podcast, and if I do say the wrong thing, I'm like, shit, I said the wrong thing. I didn't mean to say that. I really, and that goes into me now overthinking, and that gives me anxiety, and then that gets me depressed, and then that, it's
Yeah,
so
I'm sure
that's kind of why I don't listen to my stuff. So when I do like videos and clips, I will listen to it, but that's mainly because I have to post
you
it,
have
and I have to put
to because you.
yeah, I have to get people interested in it. But
Mhm.
by myself, I don't, I don't, yeah, I don't like to listen to my own podcast. I also don't like the sound of my voice. It sounds terrible.
I used to think that. I used to be like, wow, my voice is so soft. I hate it. I sound like a kid. But I had to come to a point where I have to grow into myself and know that this is who I am and I have to like it.
Yeah, I don't like my voice. It's like I don't know. I don't like it. It's just like it sounds squeaky. It sounds it sounds very squeaky. It sounds very like, and then I have a moment when I go squeaky and then I go deep and it's like, oh, what the hell? Like
Funny.
it's true. And then yeah, it's all of that. And I think that for me, as I guess I've gotten more into doing this more.
Hmm.
Um, I can deal with it, but it still is. I don't know. Like, and I do other podcasts, and I still kind of like, I don't really want to listen to me. like, I
Hmm.
don't like listen. I don't like listening to me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like that too sometimes. But again, like I have to post things on my Instagram to keep like motivation. So I normally actually don't like posting things too of myself. I'm like, oh my god, like I hate that. I wish I could change it. On my phone, I'll have um literally I can show you. I have like 20 videos of the same video, and then I only post one video of course, and I delete it. I delete it, and I do another one, like a motivational, whatever I'm trying to say. And it's been recently where I've just been like trying to put like every day a motivational video or quote or just be really on top of that because I'm really bad at social media. I've always been. I get lazy. I don't want to post. So I've been trying casting myself to make videos. So like literally, like I'm forcing myself to make these videos every day. And I'll make like 20 a day and like 20 will be the same video. And my storage on my phone is so full because of that. But we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got like 3 hour videos and 2 hour videos of like podcasts I've done just because like, and then I post it on YouTube and I forget to delete them. So I have to buy more storage on my phone just because it's just backed up. It's just, oh
Yeah,
my
the same as me.
god.
I've had to get more storage.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to yeah, it's a lot. Um, what motivates you now?
That motivates. It's a hard question. Oh my god. Um, what motivates me is actually what motivates me is seeing other authors or other um motivational people doing what they're doing and being successful with it. Of course, I'm motivated to, inspire people and help and put a good message out there. And as long as I stay true to my mission, I know that like it'll touch people. But really, like to be successful at what I'm doing and trying to be there, I'm trying to like I watch a lot of motivational people who are big and bestsellers and actually are famous at what they do, and that motivates me because I'm like, I want to be like her. I want to be a best-selling like her. I want to sell 1 million copies like her, and it's like you gotta like you gotta I guess have a goal in mind, and that goal kind of motivates me every day.
Hmm. Yeah, I, I'm the same. Uh, I'm the same. I listen to a lot of podcasters and I see what they're doing and see how they're moving, and it motivates me because it's like I know them. I talk to them.
Mm.
Like, and that makes me like, okay, I got to keep going because clearly there's something here.
Mhm.
Like, clearly there's something here. I mean, because I always say, and I say it every time I do a podcast when I do talk about myself at some point, I quit everything. Like, I like literally would quit everything. I quit jobs, everything. And for some apparent reason, I've quit this podcast literally over 100 times.
It's like me.
I've quit it like over 100 times. And I quit it, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, so the next topic of the podcast is gonna be like,
That's awesome. That's literally me. Literally, like, you quit it and you're like, "Oh, no, I'm meant to be doing this. Stop it." You gotta stop talking. You gotta talk to yourself in your mind sometimes if you to teach you to get back into it. Pep talks.
yeah, it's that. It's like I literally quit it. I'm done. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, so the next topic, right? You're gonna do like this is what I think we should do with this mind. Like, it's, oh my god, and it's that. It's enjoyable, but it's also somewhat of a burden, I guess,
Mhm,
because you want to be creative enough to experience it and live it in the moment. But
mhm.
then you're too creative because now you're pushing yourself over the limit and you don't know how to pull it back sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I get that for sure.
Yeah. So how many books? How many books you want to write? How many things? Are we gonna be like Adele? We're gonna get a few books like every 5 years when you just feel like it. Like,
That's so funny. I wanna write, like, hundreds of books. No, that's too much. Honestly, like, I wanna raise many books I can. I wanna write every book and every different occasion in my life. When
Mhm.
I have so many ideas in my head, but I wanna write, like, a book when I'm every change and phase in my life, I wanted to write about that. So, if I can write as many as I can, I would love to.
So like Adele. So we're gonna get like we're gonna get an album when she really feels like it. Oh, it's like a huge milestone in our life. Like, so we're gonna
Mhm,
so, so like Adele. Okay,
mhm, exactly. Mhm,
that's cool. That's a good thing though, because you know your goal. Like, you know what will motivate you.
mhm. And I don't like putting things out there that don't I'm not giving my all on it. And I need to put things out there that I know is amazing and I know I like it and I know that other people will like it because I read it and I love it. And I love reading. Like I'm like a little thing about me, like I'm a nerd. I'll literally read 6 books a day. Or okay, that's a little too much, but 6 books a week. Maybe. So like I'm on my phone. I have the Apple app where like you get the books ebooks or whatever it's called, and
Ebooks,
I
yeah.
I every minute I finish a book, I just get it again because I don't like reading on book like on opening it. I like the Kindle books, so I can just every time I read a series, I want to get more. I want to get more, and I love reading like more than watching TV. So that kind of helps me as a writer because I love reading and I actually enjoy it. So I love self help books, maybe not reading it. I should like it, but I love reading books with stories and characters. So it helps me as a writer.
Yeah. Did your love for reading come when you were young because you didn't talk?
I actually didn't love reading as a kid. I thought it was boring because at school, like they make you read, and I have a learning disability. Get technically like oh, Bernie has a learning disability, and I'd be like taken out to this class because I have a learning disability. So I always thought, oh, it's dumb. So dumb people can't read, or because I have a learning disability and I'm slower, I'm not good at reading. And I just realized that we read books that don't inspire me or I don't like boring Shakespeare at school. So it's like I think when I was at high school or when I was a teenager, I actually figured out I like reading because I had nothing else to do. I was home all the time and I enjoyed it. So yeah, I guess you can say that I lived through the books because I was always isolated and depressed. But I didn't read books now because 'cause I'm depressed. I actually enjoy it. Like watch people love watching a series and they can't wait for the next series to come out. That's how I feel when I'm reading books.
Yeah, it's reading books is your comfort zone.
Mhm. And sometimes I read a really good series, and it's so good that other series or other authors don't satisfy me. 'Cause I'm like, it was so good that I just stop for a few months until another one comes out that I like.
That's good. I think, yeah, I think a lot of us sometimes like reading books. That's your comfort zone, and
Mhm.
I think that's a good thing because some people might not know their comfort zone. They might not know what will uh keep them keep their minds racing
Mhm.
in a
It
positive way.
it keeps your mind going and also educates you, and reading is good for the brain supposedly. So, the positive thing.
Yeah, I can't sit down for like hours on end to read a book. I just can't do it. I'm a visual person, but it's just like that would take forever.
You have to read your kid children's book of pictures and illustrations.
That will work. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it wouldn't work. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it wouldn't work. But yeah, I mean, I like certain books. I can read certain books when I know that it's gonna be enjoyable.
Mhm.
But
Um,
I also live in a mindset of like, I can't listen to somebody else tell me what's gonna be good.
I
So,
like crime books with romance in it. So I always like be reading it and something crazy goes on. I'm like, oh my god, because it's in my head and I feel like there's something going on beside me, but it's not. It's actually in my head, and it's crazy because my family's like, what's wrong? I'll be on my phone reading. I'm like, oh nothing. Like it's so bad that like I get into like another world in my head when I'm reading because it's like a crime going on in the book, and it's so crazy because it keeps me like I just finished watching Sons of Anarchy the other day. I watched like all 7 seasons of it. I totally binged it like from like 4 months. So like you're watching something that like action's going on and like you feel like something's happening. That feeling is the same feeling I get when I read books like that. Because you feel it. So it depends, I guess, on people,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I feel like that when I watch like the Avengers.
I love the Avengers. Through the pandemic, I had a lot of time, and we watched all of the movies from like we didn't watch it like from the release order. We watched it from like the timeline. So
Hmm.
it was incredible. All movies, shows of the event of the Marvel. It's so good.
Yeah, I was watching the Age of Ultron. I just finished it over the weekend, so I was like, it's like, and I'm about to go watch like
Doctor
Infinity
Strange is
War.
coming out soon.
I know. I
In
gotta go
May.
watch Spider. I haven't even seen Spider Man yet. Don't give me any spoilers. I haven't seen it yet.
We streamed it.
Like,
We didn't go to theater to watch it, but I streamed it on my computer, so it wasn't like the best quality to watch it because literally someone was filming it in the theaters, and it was on my TV, and you could see someone's head pop up. But it was
oh,
crazy though. It was so bad, but it was really good to like. We were dying to watch it because Spider-Man, like, who doesn't want to watch that? So yeah, yeah. But the people's head kept popping up. It was terrible quality, so I don't recommend.
I grew up with movies like that, so I'm used to it. Yeah, I grew up with movies like that. I'm so used to it. What's the end goal?
Oh wow, deep question. And well, that just to be happy. I want to be truly happy with myself and with my life. I want to everything I dreamed of as a kid. The life I want in my mind, in my dreams. I want to live that life. I want to, you know, be successful in whatever I'm doing. I want to make a difference in the world, and I want to leave a legacy on the world. And I know if I did something right and I left some sort of legacy behind when the time does come, I know that I'm doing something great. And that's the end goal.
Okay, so I have this thing about being happy. It is just me personally. I don't think I'm ever gonna be fully happy, but I do think I want balance with my
Hmm.
emotions. So like, so I want to be happy, but I also want to feel sad when I want to feel sad. I also want to be mad when I want to feel when I'm mad.
Hmm.
So yeah, so fully happy, I don't think I'm ever gonna be fully happy.
Hmm. And fully happy doesn't mean oh, like you're never going to feel pain, or you're never going to go through struggle. You're always going to go through struggle. And that's the thing about life. You're always going to struggle. You're always going to feel pain, but how can you let your pain define you and make you stronger, right? So it's like, and it's beautiful that we get, as humans, we have emotions and we have these experiences that become us. And happiness just means, how can you be happy in your life? How can you transform your struggles and let it make you happy?
Yeah. Yeah. True. Um, I know you got stuff to do, so I'm gonna let you go. But before I let you go, I always do this at the end of my interviews. It's called From Me to You. I pretty much ask a podcaster or interview author, artist, whatever, what is one thing they love about their craft, pretty much. So for you, it'd be like, what do you love about being a author, or mental health and or advisor, or like, what do you love about us, and what is one thing you could tell somebody that wants to do what you're doing?
Um, I think to tell someone, your second question is to tell someone, what if they want to be an author, they want to do what I'm doing, just keep going at it. I've had so many like people or publishers, because I always like aim for the biggest, always. Even when I was a kid, I was a nobody author. I just had a book at 17, no platform, no presence, and I want to be the best author possible. But I realized that you are going to become the biggest author. You're going to become the biggest, whatever career path you're in, when you push and you be persistent and consistent with it. And you just got to keep putting authentic content out there, and you got to keep writing if you want to be a writer, and you got to keep doing it at a place of love and passion. And when you lose your passion for it, you're not going to be you're not going to love doing it anymore. You got to always keep loving what you're doing, and keep writing, keep doing it, because your voice matters and your writing voice matters. And the people who love reading and the people that will appreciate your words will open your book, and they will read your words, whether it's a self-help, romance, action, crime book, science fiction, any book genre in the world, that your word is meant for people to see. And that's why books are so beautiful, and that's why some books are so historic, because books, we leave imprints of ourselves on these books. And whoever out there that want to write books, keep writing and keep speaking your truth. And yeah. And to answer your other question, what what was your other question? Oh, what I love about being an
Being an
author
author. Hmm.
is that I get to inspire people and make an impact.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks
Tell
for
them one more
having
time
me.
where they can. Tell them one more time where they can find your books, your website, your social media pages. Tell everybody.
Yes, so you can find me on Amazon or Chapters Indigo, for my books online. And you can find me on my page, Britt Krystantos, and my website, Britt Krystantos. And I'm here if anyone needs someone to talk to or needs advice. Just know that I'm here for you guys, and I'm always on social media.
Thank you for this. I appreciate it. I haven't had a therapy session in like 2, 3 months. This really helped. So this really helped me.
Aw,
Yeah. So I haven't had like a therapy session in like 2 or 3 months. So this really helped me. So thank you for doing this. And I really appreciate you for sitting down with me and having a conversation with me. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
thank you so much.
All right. See you.
Bye.
Bye.